What's up guys, I'm randomfrankp, and today we'll be showing off my gaming setup and studio tour for 2022. Alright, so we are back with the yearly tradition of showing off my gaming setup and my YouTube studio tour, which is how the channel started, by the way, doing these setups. And typically, I have these videos out the first week of the year. However, as you can tell, it's a bit later now, right? It's summertime. But that means we'll be showcasing all the changes and upgrades I've made from the last 18 plus months or so. So there's a lot to go over for you guys. Sit tight. I'll drop everything you see in the description down below. If I miss something, let me know, but I'll try my best to have all the gear and hardware listed for you guys in the description. But yeah, a bunch to show off for you guys today. Literally behind the camera, my actual gaming setup behind me, the entertainment setup over here as well. So tons and tons to show off so you guys can see what I'm working with. We'll do a mix of the nice fancy B-roll as well as like a vlog style to make it more personal for you guys today. Hope you're pumped. Let's start it off. All right, guys, so kicking this one off, like I said, gonna be a bit of a longer one. There's a lot to go over, so sit tight. Gonna break it up though into a few different parts. So first, we're gonna talk about the main filming setup where you see me do all of my A-roll, filming B-roll and stuff. The way I have this set up for when I do those different overhead top shots. So a lot to cover here. We're gonna cover all of that, including the camera gear, filming gear. You'll see then second, we'll talk about the more minimal setup that's behind the camera. This just, a more minimal gaming setup, but also acting as a set for when I'm doing like reviews and stuff, just a nice secondary space for getting some filming done, because that's the main thing. With the YouTube studio, not only is everything acting as a functional space, but it's also a spot for filming. So it's broken up into different sets as well for when I'm filming reviews. Third, then we'll talk about the entertainment setup, which not only, again, which is a functional entertainment setup, but also acts as a filming set. And then we'll cover some of the more in-between stuff you see around the room. Then we'll wrap it up here with the main gaming setup. This is where I am 99% of the time for PC gaming, all of my editing. This is the main setup that powers the channel. So like I said, a bunch to go over, as you can see. Man, hope you're ready. So, just starting this one off, like I said here, with the main desk. This is from Ergonoffice, and it's the Sway desk. I recently got this in as an upgrade. It's 72 inches by 30 inches, so definitely a long and wide desk. It has this really nice walnut finish. And the main thing is with this, and it helps a lot again with filming, is since it is height adjustable, it's super quiet and nice and fast as well, which is great. And the main reason why I wanted a sit-stand desk over here, because again, for filming, instead of constantly adjusting the camera and the tripod all the time, say I want to get, different shots and different angles, different verticality, I could just move the desk with the product instead of the camera and the tripod to get that different elevation and different angles, which is why I also wanted a nice wide desk as well. It's gonna give me a lot of flexibility. Also has a drawer and stuff, which is great for, storing things, accessories and everything. But in terms of just functionality, this desk is great. I'll have a link for you in the description down below, as well as everything we talk about today. I think you can save like 75 bucks with the link. So yeah, check it all out down below. And as you notice, this is a nice walnut finish, but this isn't usually the desktop you see. I have a bunch of different, overhead shot like overlays that I'll put on the desktop itself, from different actual wooden desktop surfaces to some like the D brand like vinyl surfaces that I have, just to get some variety, for that fancy overhead B-roll shot, just to make it look more interesting and more entertaining to you guys. Now, another thing I did want to point out, and it's actually not a part of the desk, but it's this Spotify car thing. And it's pretty much its own dedicated like Spotify media player. So it is a fully functional little device. I can control all of my music and everything from here, from playlists, volume on the fly. It's touchscreen as well. And this obviously isn't a part of the Ergonoffice desk. I just have it here conveniently right next to the touchscreen slider. And since this is where I'm filming most of the time, I have it here because I have it then through Bluetooth hooked up to the speakers behind me at my main setup. So when I am filming, I can blast music around the studio and it's all just, my Spotify songs. So all controllable right here. I don't have to constantly be on my phone or go over to my setup and adjust anything for Spotify or music. Definitely a pretty cool little device. I haven't done a full review on it, but I have this in a video. But yeah, it's a cool little gadget that I have here to keep me motivated and going when I'm filming and stuff. Right, moving up next, we're gonna talk about the video gear, because right as the overhead, I have this massive Minimax, it's called. It is essentially a giant heavy-duty boom arm. Lets me do a lot of things like, mounting overhead cameras and a lot of gear and stuff up here I can rig up. So I do have the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K camera. I do use this a lot for when I'm getting those like wide overhead shots for like unboxings and stuff. And I also have a wireless HDMI transmitter so I can see what I'm actually filming. And then connected to that, I also have 2 microphones. You're probably wondering, why do I have 2 here? So my main mic is the Sennheiser MKH416, I believe it's called, which is my main microphone that I use for pretty much everything, which I have then fed into the new Zoom F3 field recorder. This thing is insanely powerful for audio. It is crazy, it's super compact, but it's an external audio recorder. And for my entire time, doing YouTube, until I got this in March, I've always just had my microphone being fed into my Blackmagic camera. And I'd always just use the onboard preamps in the camera. And for the past, it worked fine for the last 6, 7+ years. It sounded okay. But now with the Zoom F3, it's got like 32-bit float. It just gives me so much more flexibility when it comes to my audio and making it sound so much better. So the reason why I have a second microphone up here is because in case I ever forget to actually hit record on the actual F3, I would then have like a failsafe pretty much, because this mic, I believe it was like a $30 some Behringer cheap XLR mic. So I have that here being fed into the camera, which is then acting like a scratch track. But again, if I do ever forget to actually hit record on the F3, then that would save me from having an entire video that I filmed without any audio. So this is a $30 failsafe pretty much, definitely worth it. But yeah, that's the main audio upgrade that I've made over here for the last year. I still have the Aperture 120D Mark II lights acting as like the main light fill, which I have mounted on a C-stand with an overhead falconized light panel, which just helps me just fill the desk for when I'm doing overhead shots. And then behind me is a hair light from Elgato. It's the Elgato key light. So different, lighting components and stuff. Not all of them are even the same brand, kind of scattered. But yeah, gotta do what you gotta do to get the lighting nice and right. Now, for my main camera, this is the Blackmagic Ursa Mini 4.6K. This is a camera that gets about 95% of the footage that you've seen on the channel. I've had this for a while now, and before that, dating back to 2015, I had the original Ursa Mini. This is the upgraded 4.6K. This is what you see pretty much for everything on the channel. And when I am doing my talking headshots so I can actually see myself, I have a Lilliput monitor mounted up top so I can see, what I'm actually filming if I'm in focus. But yeah, that is the main gear for all my YouTube stuff, A-roll, B-roll. And like I said, if I did miss anything, let me know. But I'll put some of the more detailed, boring stuff, like the tripod head, the legs, all that in the description as well, because I can't, cover every single thing. But yeah, just check the description for you guys. I'll try my best to have it all down there for you. Now, moving on over to the secondary setup. This is definitely what changed probably the most over the last year. This whole space was a lot more crowded, so I kind of cleaned it up a bit, took some things out to make it a more minimal setup. So you can see I moved that big shelf that I had over here away, and it's just more of a chill spot, I'd say. And some of the changes that I made for the actual hardware is a full Govee Glide sort of light ring sort of thing, kind of going around the setup. Makes it look cool, gives it a nice little accented piece to make the setup pop. And for the actual gear and hardware, my monitor is the Corsair Xeneon. It's a 32-inch, 165 hertz monitor. Definitely looks great for console gaming, PC gaming. This is one of the newer upgrades I've made, since this is a spot where I tend to film a lot of my monitor reviews since I have the space here. So the monitor pretty much changes constantly here. This is what I have now in rotation, kind of going right along now, since we're talking Corsair, with the new PC. This is the Corsair One i300 as my main PC for this setup. Super small and compact, but also crazy powerful as well. It's got an i9 12900K CPU with an RTX 3080 Ti inside. So I recently got these both in to add to the more minimal setup, and just with everything, I think it looks pretty nice. And you can see for some of the peripherals, also some new additions, including the brand new SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pro headset. I just reviewed these on the channel. These are my wireless headset that I use, but also for audio, in addition to that, I have the Vanatu Transparent One Encore speakers. These I've had for a while over here. They're absolutely fantastic. So I have both of them on stands, so they're mounted on each side at ear level. And it pretty much gives me 3 different choices when it comes to audio at the setup, because I can use the crazy good speakers, I could use the wireless headset, or I could use one of my favorite cans of all time, the Sennheiser HD800S. Which I have here as well. So just a bunch of flexibility when it comes to, you know, actually sitting down, testing products, and filming over here at this secondary setup. And powering these Sennheisers is from JDS Labs, their own L-Amp and L-DAC. Now, for my main peripherals, over here I have the Logitech Enshroud G303. Been rocking this since release over at this setup. I know it's kind of dark right now, I'll try to fix that in post. The mouse pad is our Novel Keys randomfrankp topographic desk pad, and the GMMK Pro from Glorious. Again, all sort of fitting to like a nice midnight green sort of theme over here, just to keep it nice and minimal. Oh yeah, before I forget, and I'm gonna see questions about it, the actual monitor riser here and desktop shelf is from Artifox. This is just gives me some nice extra storage and stuff, as you can see, and elevates the monitor nicely. And so is that shelf that I have over here on the wall, also from Artifox. So that's why I wanted to get a more, you know, clean and minimal approach and stuff on this side of the room. I think it gives me the space, you know, to get that extra spot for filming, which is the entire reason, you know, this part of the studio exists. And you've also seen this portion over here in some videos. This is usually where I do like a lot of my PC builds, since it's just a large, wide desk. So I'll have like the hardware and stuff on there, do the actual filming of the PC build on this sort of just spot with the fake brick behind it. And I have these paper rolls, pretty much again just for, you know, getting overhead shots if I want to add some color. But yeah, I did a vlog on this, making that faux brick wall a while ago, 3 years ago at this point. So yeah, this is the whole functional, more minimal secondary filming side of the studio. That's definitely a lot more clean than it was in years past. Now, before we go over here, since we're just on this side of the room real quick, there's a lot of little things, as you can see, including the ridiculous like keyboard building station and section that I have. So I got like key switches, you know, mounted up on the wall. On the IKEA Scottish pegboard, I have other switches, cables, just, you know, things that I'm gonna need little accessory for when it comes to when I'm doing all those custom keyboard builds. Try to make it nice and, you know, aesthetically pleasing, even though it's kind of getting overcrowded now. And again, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, I've done videos on or showed off in some capacity, but as a keyboard station, this is the prep deck, and it's pretty much made to be like a kitchen organizer for when you're cooking, but I repurposed it for, you know, keyboard parts. So different springs, switch films, actual switches, lube, different keyboard stuff, you know, clippers, brushes, all that stuff. Got some foam down here. So a nice little organization piece for keyboard building. And this entire cabinet unit, I don't remember the name, it is from IKEA though. And down here is where I have stored all like my keycap sets that I currently either have on a build or I'm saving for upcoming builds and stuff. So I have them down here in this shelving unit. Also, as you can see, a bunch of like accessories, soldering tools, desoldering, keyboard boxes, all that, and it's this little like sort of mini sticker bomb section, like companies that I've gotten stuff from, companies that you buy stuff from, they give you little stickers. I have them all here. But yeah, this is the keyboard building section, right? I guess you can call it that. I don't know. Again, I don't remember the actual name of this unit here, but it was from IKEA, and it just works for storing everything pretty nicely. Then on this shelf, I have some boards that are in the queue to get built, because you guys know how it is for keycap sets. They're years away, they're delayed, that whole story. So these are keyboards that I have that I'm gonna be building soon whenever keycaps come in. And then yes, this is like a little wardrobe holder that I have for hanging different mouse pads and stuff on. So again, for when I'm like filming overhead stuff or just matching them with different keyboard builds, have them all here. You've seen this before. This is nothing new on this side, but this idea was from Omnitype, I believe. Shout out to them. Just holds all my mouse pads, more mouse pads on the bottom that I can't mount. Yeah, that's that. All right, so lastly, on the side of the room, before we move on, we could talk about, you've probably seen this crazy looking big logo thing. It's one of the newer additions. I think it's dope. These are from Nanoleaf, and you're familiar with Nanoleaf. These are called the Nanoleaf lines, and it's the same company that obviously makes the Aurora light panels that I have mounted above. You're familiar with these. This is supposed to be, you can kind of see it's my logo, but like, in a 3D type of way. And it was coming out great. I still think it looks pretty cool. But since we're in the basement and we have the HVAC unit over in that room and it's like running all up in the ceiling here, on this side, it's a bit smaller in terms of ceiling height. So what happened was I had to kind of cut off the bottom of the P, or else it would have looked really cool when it was all built up, if it would have been done properly. I think the whole 3D look, like the geometric 3D design to the RFP logo, looks pretty cool. Again, if you haven't ever actually seen it, you got the R, the F in negative space, and then the P, the RFP logo. It's the way I designed it. So if I would have had like 2 feet more, I could have fully extended the bottom of the P down, would have looked really dope, but that's okay. I think it looks pretty cool. It helps fill just the otherwise, blank wall. Again, gives some extra lighting and stuff for when I'm filming over at the setup, and adds a nice extra dimension, right? But these lights, the Nanoleaf lines, are crazy bright. There's a bunch of different effects. You can configure them however you want, make all these different designs. I love these, picked these up recently. Definitely think it completes this wall as well as this just portion of the room. So now, moving on to the entertainment setup, that I think this portion is probably changed the most over the last year and a half altogether. Like in my studio, the most upgrades have come over here. This was like all bare, like there was nothing over here. So to make it more lively, I built it up, put some shelves and stuff, just to complete the entertainment setup space. And if you remember, I had this all like boxed off, like the sofa was over on this side. I had this little small table behind it, and it was really just boxed in, and I didn't like it. So I upgraded a lot of stuff and made it more open, including the LG C1 77-inch TV. It is a beautiful 77-inch OLED. I did an entire review on this last year. I have everything hooked up to it in the entertainment center with, like the Xbox One, Series X, the PS5, including an original Xbox, which I'll show you coming up in a minute. But yeah, just loving how the new space came out. I think it's transformed a lot. And like I said, just some of the better upgrades I've made to the studio is over in this spot, including this chair. It's called the Womb, okay? It is super comfortable. So like when I sit down at the end of the day, kick back, get some console gaming done, it's just a dream to sit in. So comfortable, super ergonomic. It's got a little footrest as well. So like I said, really wanted to make this more minimal, more open, more inviting and stuff. Have like remotes over here, controllers. And then on this wall, I took down those old prints that I had because it's not really like my style anymore. But I picked up this from Poland. This is a sound diffuser. And again, I think it just fits in with the overall theme, the way I have it all designed with my aesthetic. I don't know how fully functional this is gonna be, but I think on the wall, it looks fantastic, beautifully handmade. I'll put the Etsy shop down below, but yeah, got this hung up, picked it up recently, think it looks great. We'll cover more of the setup in a minute, but first up, one of the new additions is also a little mini fridge that I have filled with 3D energy drinks. Shout out to them. They're not a sponsor. I wish they were, but I am hooked. Definitely one of the best tasting and I would say healthiest energy drinks out there. And yeah, love these. My go-to is the lemon. Again, not a sponsor. Totally wish they were though. But hey, if anyone's watching this from 3D, love your stuff. So yeah, all right, back to the actual TV and all that stuff going on. So behind the TV, I have an RGB light strip, which is just set to like white right now. And then on each side, as you can see from Govee, I have these light bars called the Lyra or the Lyra. You know the routine with, RGB light bars. Obviously, it can be full RGB, a bunch of different effects. Right now, I have them sort of like a tealish color to kind of fit in with the whole setup, but you can make them white like I have here. But the reason why I have it all static right now is because behind the TV, one of the things I also picked up to complement the gaming stuff over here is an RGB bias like HDMI box from LightMe, I believe they're called. So what this does is whatever HDMI source you have hooked up to it, it will portray that lighting, sort of extend it behind the TV onto the wall and look really cool. I've shown a bunch of different versions of this stuff off in the past. Last year I had one from Govee as well, but I had a camera. This is all HDMI reliant. So whatever you have hooked up to the HDMI box, it will show behind the TV, give it a nice soft glow, and just look really, really cool. This is also super bright. Like the RGB effect on here is insane, but I think that's just too much. I keep it just to the bias lighting pretty much, and I think it looks awesome. Then for the entertainment center itself, I don't remember the exact name. I got it off of Wayfair a while back, but definitely a nice, little accent piece here as well. Like I said before, the Xbox One Series X, conveniently, spaced over here in this little nook. It's like the perfect fit that they have cut out for it. Got the PS5 right next to it, the D brand dark plates, all black consoles with like the wooden and gray entertainment center. And I do have a Samsung soundbar up top. Get some nice, gaming audio going on, nice and loud, immersive. Soundbar underneath over there, for that extra bass hit. One of my more favorite upgrades and additions that I made is this original Xbox. And as you can see, it's probably not what you're used to seeing when it comes to an original Xbox. It's got these red lights in it, and it's a Japan exclusive. It's the skeleton shell. But with it being modded, it's got a 2 terabyte hard drive inside, built-in HDMI, which is what lets me, actually play this here on the TV, so I can, play on the 4K TV instead of just using the old cables and stuff. And I can literally play every game. Every single Xbox game is on here with the 2 terabytes. Not only just the original Xbox titles, but PS1, N64, Game Boy. It is a retro dream. I've probably gamed more on this in the last 6 months, I'd say, than I have on current gen consoles combined. This has been an absolutely awesome pickup that I got from eBay. I think it was $500 or $600, so definitely expensive, but I've definitely got that soft spot for retro gaming and all the nostalgia. And I also have a USB transmitter in the back, it's a little USB stick that lets me use an original Xbox One controller with the modded Xbox. I don't have to use the old, the wired ones that were bigger and clunky. I could use an Xbox One controller wirelessly with here, kick back in the womb chair and get some OG gaming done, playing some Tony Hawk Underground, some Lone Wolf, some Dave Mirra's BMX, all the good old original Xbox titles that I just miss, but some of them don't hold up. But that's the fun of revisiting and playing a lot of them on here. And then speaking of nostalgia and some stuff, like I said, over here I do have this shelving unit, which used to be over on the minimal side of the setup, but just some things on display, make it more homey, have it broken up, some of my favorite things, like some of my Eagles stuff, collectibles, signed balls, helmets, Super Bowl collectibles, things like that. And then underneath there, I have a lot of my sealed Pokemon collection from PSA 10 sealed booster packs, the original Tomy figures that I have still sealed to go along with the packs, Japan exclusive the Game Boy games, just a lot of figures and stuff that I loved as a kid, cool stuff like that, including then underneath that again N64 games still in the box, the other original Xbox, which is the again, I think this is a skeleton, the other one was Ghost, or this is Ghost, skeleton, I don't know. The clear, transparent shell here, a PS1, but yeah, I just wanted to, build this section up so it wasn't so blank and just barren over here and kind of, secluding the entertainment center. So now it all feels complete. But now for the main setup, there is a lot to go over, as you can imagine. Tons of gear and hardware, so where do we even begin? I guess we'll start off with the actual desktop itself. This is a 98-inch live acacia wooden countertop. And this is an upgrade from the old IKEA desktop that I had, for years, which I now have on the other side of the studio. Again, that was fine, but the actual composite material was pretty thin. This though, solid butcher block, and it looks great as well. Love that natural finish to it and how it looks. I have the desktop then on the IKEA Alex drawers on each side. You know the routine with this. And then I have them on these little furniture riser legs. So it's, you get that extra elevation and stuff when you're sitting there. But that's not new. This has been my desk for 2 years now or so. Most of the newer stuff comes in terms of the peripherals. We'll go over it all. The bottom two monitors are two of the LG Ultra Gear 34-inch monitors. They're 165 hertz, 3440, 1440p. Really dig the LG Ultra Gear ultra wide monitors. I've been rocking these two on the bottom for a while with a 34-inch AOC monitor as the overhead monitor. And I always see questions whenever I do these setup videos is people always ask why I have a bezel in the middle. But as I say every year, it's not that hard for you guys to digest the fact that I have a chair, and a chair lets me sit in front of any monitor or wherever I want at the desk setup. So I always sit and I have the right monitor acting as my primary display. This is where I do everything. And then, like where I'm sitting here on the left side, I can have like when I'm editing and stuff, like my files, all the bins, vector scopes, that kind of stuff. And then on the top AOC monitor, we have things like Twitter, Spotify, whatever, just a bunch of screen real estate. And again, I don't just sit in front of the bezel. I don't stare at that all day. I could move around. Now, I'm not too sure what the actual monitor mounts are called. They're like $15 from Amazon. Same thing with the speaker mounts up top. And like I also just said, I get a lot of questions about these. These are not made for me to be monitoring audio when I'm here at my setup. People always say, oh, randomfrankp, they're way too high, it's wrong. And I agree, but like I showed you, I have these here specifically for when I'm filming over in the studio, hooked up to the Spotify car thing, and I can just have music playing around while I'm filming. But these are also on some cheap monitor or actual speaker mounts, and the speakers themselves are the Cantu YU5. So everything mounted nicely, give it that nice seamless sort of floating appearance here. But yeah, behind the monitors is where all the crazy cable management's going on, but you don't see all that hanging down, and that's what matters most. Oh, and the chair, by the way, before I forget, is the Herman Miller M-Body. I've had this since 2016. Super comfortable, definitely expensive, but again, for those long gaming or editing sessions, yes, an expensive ergonomic office chair is definitely worth it. But now we can dive into my main peripherals that I'm using over here. For my keyboard, I have been using this for a bit. It is a SteelSeries Apex Pro TKL with their OmniPoint switches. And I do have these Deep Forest, sort of like midnight green keycaps from Taihao on there. I get questions about them all the time. I can't find them like anywhere either, but that's what I have on here. With a color matching like resin and wooden wrist rest, again, to match the whole aesthetic. And then for my mouse, this is one of the newer upgrades. It is the new Razer Viper Pro. Yeah, I gave it some shit in my review, but seeing the fact that I've used the Viper Ultimate since release in 2019, this new Pro version is lighter, technically faster on paper as well. So this has been my upgrade here. I also have like this iridescent emerald green spray paint on left and right clicks. Again, just to make it all match. Definitely think it looks pretty cool. For my audio, this is actually all pretty new. My main headphones of choice are now the Beyerdynamic DT900 Pro X. They're open back, they sound fantastic, they're super comfortable. I love these. They are just a dream pair of headphones, and they are so much less expensive and way more affordable than the Sennheiser HD800s that I showed you guys over on the minimal setup, but yes, love these. For my microphone, this is the Beacon mic. I pretty much use this just for like streams and stuff. I don't do any like voiceover work on this, mainly just for live streaming. And that then gets fed into the Beacon Mix, which is a physical mixer pretty much, where I have, I can go in when I'm streaming, configure all the knobs to be certain things like Discord, Spotify, chat, just all the levels on the fly and stuff. Makes streaming so much easier. A killer tandem here, this duo of the Beacon mic and mixer. They got some really great stuff, and they kind of came out of nowhere recently. So I've been loving them. They even have this like super crazy powerful software where you can configure stuff even more. The mic is crazy adjustable in terms of like, just pushing it to get the best out of it so it sounds the best possible, and all the mixer controls in the software. So they got some crazy stuff from Beacon. Shout out to them. And then speaking of streaming, two little hidden additions I have is this little magnetic mount where I put an Elgato Keylight Mini. This just goes here to sort of like fill the shadows while I'm streaming, just, you know, so I appear brighter. And then over in the middle of my monitors, I have mounted like a mini vlogging tripod that I can just pull out, mount my Sony ZV-1, which acts as my webcam. And then when I'm not streaming, you know, it folds back up, all goes back into place and stays hidden. So two little hidden sort of streaming additions I have here. And the last two things to touch on, my actual amp and DAC for my Better Dynamic headphones is the Grace Design M9XX, has the nice volume dial at the top, so I can just quickly and easily, you know, adjust volume. And then my mouse pad is the Razer Strider. It is a really nice hybrid surface, so it's the best of like speed and control. Have it extended here, so nice and large, just a fantastic mouse pad. I've been using it for a year now and it still looks and feels brand new, so definitely digging these. Some other little things over on the left side of my desk, like I got this Tommins wooden desk lamp just to fit in aesthetically. Again, it looks really nice, I think. And some other desktop accents like this topographic PS5 controller I had made from Colorware, along with a matching notepad and stuff, just to have here, you know, like I said, fits in with the whole desk sort of setup. Now, as you can see, one of the new changes I made, in addition to these light panels that I have on the ceiling, which helps just sort of, you know, light the desktop when I'm doing overhead shots and stuff when I'm filming, I have these two RGB light bars mounted on each side of my setup. And the main purpose of this is, again, to sort of like fill that wall space to give it some extras, just, I don't know, pop and glow for when I am filming, because now it looks better in terms of symmetry. So when you are seeing me when I'm doing like my talking A-roll stuff when I'm filming, when you see it, you know, behind me, it just looks better. So it's more symmetrical. I think it looks cooler that way. I don't know, but yeah, those are just the light bars that I have mounted up on the wall, and I can control them wirelessly. Now, over to the brand new PC. This is completely new. I upgraded this in January of last year, and before that, I've had the Fantex PC since 2019. So the case here is the Lian Li 011 Dynamic Mini. It's the Snow Edition, and as you saw in the intro, it had a bit of a weird thing going on with the front panel, kind of like an illusion, right? So behind the front glass panel, I actually have mounted a 14-inch monitor. It's a portable monitor that I have mounted right in here. Fits perfectly. I don't have it on right now for when I'm doing the setup tour, so I can show you guys, you know, the full PC. This lets me do some cool visual tricks. What I did was actually film the internals of my PC from like a straight on shot, you know, looking at the inside. And then when I was editing it, I added an overlay, and then I could export it, then put that onto the monitor. So it looks like, you know, the PC is being filled with like some cool ink display, or have some cool like water effects going on. Just, you know, gives me flexibility to add those cool visual effects, even though it's not really real. It's an illusion, but I think it definitely looks pretty cool. And again, I did a whole video on this when I did that Micro Center vlog when I built this a few months ago. So if you want, you can check that out, but just a pretty interesting look, I feel. But yeah, the 011 Dynamic Mini Case Snow Edition from Lian Li to now complete the Mr. Freeze build, all white internals and stuff. So for my actual specs, we're going over it all. I have an Intel i9 11900K CPU on one of the Gigabyte Z590 Vision motherboards, one of the newer all white NZXT Kraken AIOs. With this, you can like show me my temps and stuff real time. You can put up GIFs and have graphics going on here, but the all white looks really nice on this Kraken AIO. And again, just fits in with the whole theme of the build. I have 128 gigs of this T-Force Extreme RAM. Super nice, clean looking DIMMs here for the sticks. White braided cables and stuff as well. And for our GPU, it's a Gigabyte RTX 3080 Ti Vision. So again, the whole Vision white Mr. Freeze theme build, I called it. And one of the like literal newest additions to this PC that I added like 2 days ago are these new Lian Li Infinity fans. So as you saw when I was showing you the B-roll of like the whole sort of crazy overlay effect going on, those are the older fans I had. These now just sort of have this like infinity mirror effect going on the center of the fan, as well as like the outside. So it looks pretty cool, just extra RGB, but I typically keep it like all white or like a white and like a ice blue type of thing. Again, to fit into the Mr. Freeze build, I call it. But yeah, this upgrade here, like I said, the biggest upgrade pretty much for my main setup, since this is what I've had now for the past few months. But last last time you saw my old Fantex builds. But yeah, that's the main PC that runs everything for the channel. One of my favorite builds so far. And then lastly, over here, again, just, a nice little shelving unit that has a bunch of custom keyboard builds and stuff that you've seen me do on the channel. Have them nicely on display, including like a lot of the more custom, like literal custom ones with the Navel keys and randomfrankp NK65 we did. But I also have on here with our Control-T keys and randomfrankp Deep Sea topographic keycap set. So looking really nice on here, I think. Loving the way this came out. Again, just a nice little like shelving unit to have these keyboards on display instead of having them just like in a box somewhere. You build them up, they're expensive. You want to put them on display. I can't use them all at once, right? So I wanted to have them nicely on a shelf with like matching cables and stuff, just to make it all aesthetically nice as a nice display piece. So that is pretty much the gist of it. That is the 2022 setup tour, going over the L-shaped studio here, from the main filming setup, the main desk setup, the minimal setup, and our entertainment center. There's some other things, like this little spot where I keep all of my lenses. I have like a prop drawer and stuff, or props that you'll see when I'm doing overhead shots. Not gonna go over all of that. A little bin where I have some more product reviews and stuff coming up. I have it over here for now, just to keep it tidy and not all on the floor. Have it covered so you can't see a lot of the stuff, all under embargo. But yeah, guys, I think that about does it. I think we covered it all. Man, oh man. So that was a lot, huh? But that'll do it for a look at my gaming setup and YouTube studio tour for 2022. Hope you enjoyed the personal behind the scenes look at what literally powers the channel. Like I said, I'll do my best to have everything you saw, all the gear and hardware listed for you in the description down below, so you can check it out if you're interested. But if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up to show your support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. And lastly, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day.